Let's call the Rules and Regs Committee to order, please. And I think we have a quorum since there are only 4 of us. We have 3 people here, so we're in good shape, right? All right, so we don't have much today at all. We do need an approval of minutes from the May 11 meeting. And Mike, I think you were probably the only one here.
Yeah. I want to call for approval of the minutes from the May 11th Rules and Regulations.
Okay.
Oh, here's Jason Lloyd. Sorry.
And I guess my question is, even though I'm the chair, I can second it because I was here.
You can, and even if members of the committee, new members of the committee were not in attendance, they are still valid.
They should have read them.
They
yes.
can vote.
Okay.
On those.
Right. In that case, I need a second.
I'll second.
Thank you. So all in favor of accepting the minutes from May 11th, please? All right. Thank you so much. Now, the next thing is we need to elect a new chair.
Well,
This is going to be the shortest meeting in
you are
years.
in the chair.
I like the chair. I like you in that chair.
You'd like me in this chair?
That's great chairs. I'm not just suggesting this isn't musical chairs.
And I would certainly second that. I think you've been a good resource for this committee before I came on it, and I think you would continue to be so. So I certainly second that.
I third that.
How do you feel about that? You know, there may not be anything to talk about.
Well, yes and no. I was on Rules and Regulations last time, and I commend all the effort that it took to wade through that. And you're right, Tom and Doug did the majority of that heavy lifting, and we were able to just kind of give our 2 cents on it. I imagine now that that hard work is done, that we can take another look on upgrades to some thinking that maybe we may think, what's the most dated elements of this? What are the most, we can go through those timestamps and understand, is there, and it's more about than language, it's about opportunity that I think we need to search for our own selves in there. And there are great moments to teach the membership with all this stuff too. I mean, not that it has to be annoying to have the POA post about another rule, but many of the rules reinforce all the efforts and why people chose to invest in a community like this. And I think that they would find value in seeing and hearing about that. So maybe the marketing department, we can cherry pick some little elements. And
You know what might be a really good idea, Mike? You just triggered something, and maybe it's just me wanting to educate the universe, but could we at some point maybe select monthly, whatever, and highlight a particular piece of it and say, this is what this means, you know, blah, blah, blah. I like that idea because that way we keep it current.
yeah, especially the larger ones that maybe come up more often. And I'm sure there's a bit of a hierarchy to that. It's like, we hear about this all the time, you know, and so maybe that's some of our in the know segments.
There you go. There you go. I'd like to see that maybe happen, and then however we need to make it happen, let's do it. And one of the several good things came out of last year is we were able to eliminate some policies that no longer made any sense. So that part was good. We consolidated some operation that happened.
Can we cue the Gilligan Island thing?
Sure. Hey, this is going to be an interesting year because we have 2 theater people here, and I've always wanted to be in the theater, okay?
So back to that not meeting every month. Just kidding.
Okay.
Okay, so this is the dock and boathouse policy, and we talked about this previously, that the city is making a change to their ordinance regarding, can you turn that off? Their ordinance regarding docks and the number of docks that are allowed on a parcel. And so we did a comprehensive rework of this policy. We worked with the ACC on this and the Townhouse Association and the city to make sure everybody was in agreement. So you'll see on this, even though it's gone through the first vote, that it's pretty extensive changes, everything in blue, underlined, and red. The difference between those two is just one set of changes was the initial go-around, and then further changes that we made. The red is the further changes. So we start with definitions, just like with the overall policies, the definitions, we have and then this is really the meat of the changes, the dock limitations. We talk about grandfathering, and we're not going to try and go back and have people change their dock that's 20 years old or something to that nature. We talk about seawalls and wanting to make sure that they're reinforced. In most instances, there are some exceptions based upon natural topography, such as rocky outcroppings and so forth. We don't need to have a seawall in that case because the rock's probably doing a better job than the seawall would. But in most cases, it's dirt, and the dirt erodes, and having a seawall behind the dock really will preserve that dock and also preserve the shoreline for that lake, because everything wants to go down and fill in the bottom of the lake, and we don't want to have an issue down the road. We talk about the maximum that you can go out is 18 feet. That's been pretty standard for a number of years, or maybe even decades, with the exception of a 15% if 15% if they're in a cove. Always keeping in mind that our lakes in some areas are nice and straight and it's really easy to work with. In other areas, it's these tight, oddly shaped coves, and you just don't want to be in a situation where you're blocking someone from, you have this great dock and your neighbor can't use their boat or get access to their boat. So that was a problem. Talk about the current setbacks, those are actually in the city ordinance. The length of the dock, we limit it to 50%. This is a new restriction because we're seeing some docks that are just getting kind of out of control, and we're trying to limit that. We reinforce in number 7 that you can't obstruct your neighbor. We all got to live in the same sandbox together, and we got to play well together. Instead of a sandbox is a lake, but we all in the same area and we need to work together. And then we get into, it really got complicated in working with all the entities when it got to the Townhouse Association. They have large areas of limited common property, so they don't have this nice, neat amount of space. It's actually their whole length, and how do we regulate that to make it, to have it make sense? And we all work together, all 4 entities, to draft this policy, which I think really makes sense and works well. It encourages people that are in the same townhouse to work together to hopefully go in together if they want a dock, to have multiple people sharing the dock. That's preferred, as opposed to having 4 mini docks right next to each other. Having one large one that accommodates all 4 of them would be outstanding. So that was that was quite an effort to get everybody to agree on everything. They're going to fill out the application. The ACC will then contact the POA, and then they will also, in certain instances, contact the Townhouse Association, and they won't issue the permit or charge any fee until that is all done. That way they're not in a position of having to refund money if they don't get through the approval process. And then it goes to the city, because you're building a structure. They have to be in charge of structures and make sure it's built to code and so forth. So instead of 4 permits, you have to get 2 permits. It would have been great if we could have gotten that down to 1, but we can't do that. We have the 3-legged stool. And then maintenance, we have provisions in here that ensure, for example, with regards to the Townhouse Association, and it's covered actually higher up, that they have to have a formal agreement of maintenance, because we'd hate to be in a situation where two homeowners next to each other in a townhouse get together, build a dock, and then they decide that, or one of them moves, or they get in a fight, and all of a sudden the dock is not being maintained. That documentation that they have to work together actually travels with the property, so forth. So kind of a brief overview, but if someone wants any additional information, they're welcome to go to previous months' rules and regs recordings.
Well, at the last planning commission, I know they are extremely excited to get out of the dock business. They made that very clear. And also, I believe you are presenting this.
Fully in place before the that portion, small portion of the current city ordinance would be null and void. Ours would be in place just before that, so the timing's perfect.
Yes, yes, it is.
Tom, I wasn't on this committee, obviously, but I want to commend this.
Nice. We've already had another meeting that had nothing to do with docks.
Oh,
it was
good.
a completely separate issue, and all of the group was working together. Okay, how do we? It was kind of an odd legal situation, and how do we work through it and make sure that we accomplish it in the most effective and easiest way, and so everybody was cooperating, so that's always good to see.
Okay, so if there are no, sorry, yeah.
So what I didn't see in here was kind of enforcement of it, and I guess that's the ACC's role now, since they're taking it on, and that's all well and good and all. And then kind of the second piece of that puzzle, I guess, is Lakefront Property probably is the most expensive property in Bella Vista. Mm-hmm. And with that comes, a different style of legal potential, because folks can afford lawyers and this, that, and the other. And sometimes when you have a lot of discretionary income, you build crazier and crazier and bigger things and show off the wealth in different ways. And I think you've alluded to that, and some of the docks continuing to plus up and grow. So I feel like it'll be more of a topic as things go on, and more income continues to come towards the lakes. It'll be interesting. I hope that we can actually get in the dock business ourselves. I feel like we have the opportunity, if we could outline any property that's still available, to create more resources. I'm thinking Lake Ann.
You mean like public for the POA?
Yeah,
at the council meetings and things like that. The mayor and the council had, actually it's up to him, but he took it before the council they've realigned some of their departments and reallocated some things to code enforcement, and I mean they're really trying to spread and work with whatever might be coming up. So I can't give you the details of that right now, but I know that they're reallocating some of their budgets to move it around to do things more. And Taylor has been promoted to the manager.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yes,
that's
yes.
great for her.
So yeah, I think I'm really happy that all the entities seem to be working for the common good.
Yeah, just side note, so it's in the transcript, I'd like for probably, I guess, marketing to work with boat registration folks to ensure that they get a recording and a copy of this meeting, and how that when this thing gets finalized, I think we need to directly target the pretty small amount of homeowners that, or those who have registered a boat, because most likely they could be dock owners too, or however we want to do that to make
over the weekend. And my first time out on the lake this year, and you see new dock, improved dock, improved dock, all the, you see it all over the place. No, it doesn't take long, and which is great. Some of the docks that but if
we're
there's
going to
any,
move it forward, right?
outstanding.
Yeah,
outstanding.
that's, I'm learning.
Outstanding.
It's almost 2:30, we'll be here.
I know.
Just in
That's right. That's right. Okay, the next one, policy 10.02, definition of improved.
So I have this on the overhead. I'm sure there's, I keep on saying that there's a new name for that, but I don't know what it is. What we've done is we've taken a couple regulations that we have that were actually appearing on the back of bills and so forth. We're trying to improve the language and the content. It's become, you know, we don't want to have one of those bills that you look in the front and that's fine, and then you turn in the back and it's got, oh my God, look at all that legal jargon that's gone over the top. So by consolidating all that information into one area, which is the one that you're looking at, I think it makes sense. There's no significant changes. It's just we're just putting it all into, housing it all into one area. And we're clearly defining what improved is and what unimproved is. You'll notice that the improved, once all three criteria have met, which includes a water tap fee has been paid, a water account has been created, and a water meter has been installed, and then it's an improved property. And once it's improved, you can't go backwards. You can always stay improved because all the infrastructure remains, and those fees have been paid and so forth. It also talks about the combining of, I jumped a little bit ahead. It talks about unimproved and so forth, and then it talks about lot combining. So people can combine lots. In some instances, it's because they want more land. Maybe their lots don't support a septic system, something of that nature. But regardless of that, if they combine it with the county, it's still, in our system, it's still two lots. They will pay one improved and one unimproved.
Yeah, I know that's a popular topic as people try to have the buffer lot and try to combine parcels for sale and for use in different ways. Something hit me when we were kind of thinking about whether it could go back to unimproved, and I was kind of thinking of kind of the parkland and the forest land, and maybe ways people could deed us back property that could maybe turn into common property or turn into, I don't know, I feel like there's maybe some advantages. I understand the utilities could still be underneath the ground and things like that, and there a fair amount of infrastructure would be in place. Likely, you know, maybe if the septic is removed, you know, or something that could possibly qualify it back. Just wonder if there's any advantage for us as the city is rapidly developing now, and we're averaging so many new home permits. If we don't start looking at some of these lands as maybe needing to return to not being developed, maybe we're overdeveloping.
Well, keep in mind we have 36,000 acres of common property. So we have a lot of green space. Inherent in the design of Bella Vista with all the ravines and everything. I mean, 36,000 acres of common, and that's a lot. So would we materially improve our community if we added a quarter acre here, a half acre here? I mean, you really got to get multiple lots together to make it. But you know, I think you brought it up. I can't remember when, a month ago, 2 months ago, something like that. Is neighborhood parks. We were able to get multiple lots combined. I know there's, down from where I'm at, person voluntarily on their own. They have. I mean, it's an interesting thought with the number of 0.25 acre lots out there that are now suspect as to whether you can build on them because of the change in the application of the septic rules. You know, years ago, before 2016, you could build a 2 or 3 bedroom home on a 0.25 acre lot, and now you need at least 0.33.
Yeah, is that now law?
So I don't know if it's law, but what I was told is the regulation was always in place with the health department. It was just how they applied it is what changed. And they communicated that to the POA back in 16, hey, we're going to be changing the application of how we apply this law. And, you know, they just let us know as a courtesy, not that we could really object or anything of that nature. But it does mean that, so when you're looking at the lot combining, it's possible we may have more lot, not necessarily lot combining requests, but more people going forward that are getting 2 lots, 2.25 acre lots. Now you have a half acre, you put the home in one, the septic system on the other. It's going to be challenging to get both lots next to each other. Not easy an undertaking, but I think we're going to see more of that in the future because those 0.25 acre lots, you can't do anything with it.
Yeah, I'm afraid most of the
old membership lot.
the old dog membership lot. I'm afraid most of the realty still happening out there is presenting these as any still developable. It takes just a few clicks and swipes, and you can see how things are being presented that are certainly underneath the 0.33 threshold.
But you are seeing there's a number of homes. There's one on the way to Metfield. There's one down the road from me. They're going up.
That's right.
You're seeing these 2 and 2-story plus ones where they know that they can't. They need the extra square footage for the septic system, so they're going up.
And those sorts of things are now coming to the planning commission.
Yeah. So if that's the way to deal with the 0.25 acre requirement, then more power to them.
Is there a way, like, let's say I want to leave my estate, I don't have anybody to leave it to, and it's that time, and I'm like, I want to deed my land back to the POA, or I want to ensure this is always green space, this is my happy space, and I want to see it preserved when I'm not here. What do we have mechanisms for people to give charitable gifts of land back to the POA?
Well, it's not charitable because we're a 501c4. We're not a 3, so you can't get a tax write-off. But we accept properties back. People, mom and dad or grandma and grandpa passed. And this was their retirement dream, and they're no longer around, or what have you. And in most cases, we turn around and we sell those at the auction. We have another online auction going up starting Monday. So we'll accept those lots. In many cases, if someone has passed, they're not paying their assessments, and they're probably not. If they're not paying their assessments, they're typically not paying their property taxes.
Then it defaults back.
Well, then it goes. Then we foreclose on it. It goes that route, and then it's a auction at the county courthouse, and that's how we've been able to get, the number of non-performing lots. We were at 20.5% back in 15, and now we're at 4.5% because we've been accepting those lots and turning around and selling them online, and then people have picked them up, whether lots of neighbor lots, and other people, and builders, so forth. So that's what we've done with a lot of them. Well, everyone that we can get our hands on. We have maybe an inventory, other than the 10, 15 that we have right now. We have a few more, but most of the ones that we have that we're holding on to have a problem with the land. There's a road going through the middle of the parcel, which sounds odd, but when you have 39,000 parcels, somewhere down the road, someone messed up and there's a road going through the middle of it. And in some cases, we're able to sell those. We've sold those as membership lots, and we've been very clear, hey, we're selling you this lot, it clearly is a membership lot because you can't build on it because there's a road going through the middle of it. Are you clear? Sign here, great, you now have a membership lot.
Tom, can you tell us a little bit about old Bella Vista and how it plays into improved, unimproved, what utilities or what? That's an interesting one.
Yeah, and I wish Doug, so Doug right now is somewhere in the Gulf of Mexico fishing with family members on a,
Shame on
I know, you know,
Yeah.
I know.
them.
You know, I asked him to call in and conference, and he rudely said he was not available. You know, the old Bella Vista gets really complicated because you have a situation where literally you'll have a subjected lot, meaning it's part of the POA, a non-subjected, and then another subjected, and another subjected, and non, then some, you know, it is a mess out there. The challenge they have out there is a lot of those parcels are like 0.18 acres. They're really small, so you got to get not just 2, you need to get 3 in a row to be able to build. So it's a mess. I know that one entity is purchasing a lot of parcels out of that area. You know what they're going to do, who knows? But it's complicated, and the water issue is another. That's right. So you know, we're trying to. There's already old Bella Vista water system out there, but they're very limited in size and resources. And so, if someone does get 3 parcels in a row and can build, you know, who provides the water? Are all 3 parcels in the POA, or are all 3 parcels not in the POA? So it makes developing in that area really a quagmire.
Sure. Anything else? Any other comments on 10.02? So you think it might be ready to go forward for a vote? Sorry. I'll deal with you later. I'll say that again just to make sure it's recorded. Is it okay to move policy 10.02 forward? Okay?
Absolutely.
Okay, good. We're going to have an open forum here in a minute. Are you here to speak? No, you're here to what we have to say? Okay. So I guess we have no open forum unless there's something.
Nope.
Okay.
We didn't get anything.
Well, what I really would like us to do is, for the next meeting, is just think about what we could do, you know.
We have homework on this committee?
You have homework? Hey, you know, you can change your mind now.
Compare and contrast our policies.
Does that mean I get a raise?
Compare and contrast these policies and Jane Austen. Real easy job.
No, but just think about what we might look forward to and what we can accomplish next year. It might be the easiest year ever, but let's be proactive. That's
Absolutely.
all I'd like to say.
I think what you and Mike talked about with highlighting something that would be a policy that would be of interest and maybe kind of in the news, so to speak, is a wonderful idea on top of anything else. That would be real productive, I think.
Okay. Well, that sounds fun. Educating, that always helps. Okay, well, in that case, I don't have the date in front of me of when the next closed meeting is, and that's usually when we have rules and regs. It's July something. No, it's second Thursday. The 13th of July? Okay, so 1:30?
The 13th of July.
Okay. See, I told you about this theater stuff going on over here. Okay. All right.
What theater it is, but
Theater of the absurd.
All right.
Mystery science.
So if there's nothing else, I think we can adjourn, correct? All right, adjourn.